Was it really awkward?
It's hard for me to watch because I just don't watch myself on video, so I didn't watch very much.
It is very awkward, isn't it? All right, I think we're
I'm
live.
just like, yeah, no, I'm used to this.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that's the worst part of like
Sorry.
editing for me. But hey everybody, I hope this live stream is working. I believe you know my sisters Ria and Sarah, because I always introduce you guys. All right, since I nominated the book, I guess I should talk about it first. It's one of my favorites out of the whole series. I think because it was one of the first that I read. So for that reason, I think I love it, but also because it's good.
Why did you start in the middle of the series?
When mom and dad finally let me read the series slash watch the movies, it was when the Prisoner of Azkaban the movie had come out, and so I went to the library and I rented The Sorcerer's Stone, The Chamber of Secrets, and The Prisoner of Azkaban. And for some reason, the one that stood out to me was The Prisoner of Azkaban. So it wasn't that I like started in the middle of the series. It was just the one that really got me into the series.
No.
That movie.
She means why'd you pick the third one right now?
I see.
No, I think she meant because I right.
No, it sounded like she said that was the first book she read of the series, so I was kind of confused why she would start in the middle.
Yeah, I don't do that. I am a very particular person when I start series. I have to start at the beginning and then go all the way through. Heck, I could even be like, I've already read the first 3 books,
Okay.
but I don't remember, so I have to go back and redo it. I'm that particular.
Does it drive anyone else crazy when they don't have the numbers on the books? So you're looking for them in the library and you have to look it up to see what book comes next.
Yeah,
that drives me
that.
so crazy. Mm-hmm. I was just talking with Daniel yesterday because when we went to the library, the book that I'm gonna nominate is part of a series, and I got super confused because I looked it up before I went, and the one that I thought was the first one was marked as number 3. And then I got number 1, and when I got home, I looked it up, and I got the prequel instead of the first one. So I'm really upset because I want to start with the first book, not the prequel. So I'm starting with prequel because I'm not going back to the library and I have it, but I was just so annoyed because it's like it finally has numbers on it, but it's in the wrong order. Prequels shouldn't be number 1, 2. It should not start with the prequels.
Yeah. I've had that problem too,
you gotta
especially
start with 4, 5, and 6, and then 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Especially when they decide to change the cover art halfway through the series. And so then you're like, wait, this is the same series? It looks completely different. I am confused. So you don't have numbers and you change the artwork. Great. I have to do all this research to find the first one.
Or if you own half of them in the one and you're like, but I want it to be a complete set that looks the same, and then you have to specifically find that.
Yeah, it's gotta look pretty on the shelf.
Yeah. But yeah, okay, my favorite part of the book.
On that side note.
After that small little rant.
Let me guess, Brittany, what's your favorite part?
I love when Hermione slaps Draco Malfoy.
That was what I was gonna say. I definitely was too.
Yeah.
It's my favorite part. I know it's bad, and that hating is never a good thing. And that it doesn't.
And the boys don't know whether to pull her away or to egg her on. Like what?
Yeah.
What just happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. But I also hate how the boys don't talk to Hermione for the longest time. I would say most of the year because of, her cat being a cat. Like, literally, there's not much she can do to stop him from being a cat.
It gets to the point where even Hagrid has to be like, you care more about your rat than your friend? Come on, guys. Yeah. Get over yourselves. She needs you more than you know.
Yeah.
Poor Hermione.
She bit off way more than she could chew that year.
She's forced to keep secrets from her best friends, and in return, they shun her.
Yeah. Okay. Just double checking to see if it's live streaming. It looks like it is.
I love it when she's like behind the pile of books.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then all of a sudden they hear her, like, they're in the middle of talking, and then she, like, moves the stack to peek out at them. Like, okay. Wherever there's a stack of books, there's probably a Hermione under there somewhere.
Yeah.
Especially in places that you wouldn't expect to find books, like in the dining hall.
I can't believe. Okay, Hermione would want to do this. Yeah, that's I can see why, you know. But for her to be allowed to have the time turner to actually attend more classes is than she's able physically to handle.
Well, she's the smartest witch of her age, and so McGonagall knew that and was helping her. But I feel like they should have kept better tabs on how she was doing, you know? Not just been like, well, she's smart, she'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she was so upset about disappointing McGonagall that she felt she had to do it all perfectly.
Yeah. It was definitely a little bit too much for her.
Well, she's so little too.
Mhm. Because at this point she's, well, they're 11 in the first book.
13?
Yeah, 13.
Yeah, so she's 13. Having that put that on a 13-year-old
Because in the
shoulders.
beginning of the book, Ron turns 13.
That's right.
Of course, his birthday's always right in the beginning of the books, but yeah, 13. So crazy.
I can't imagine taking on that much homework.
I get so annoyed with Snape in this book.
Yeah. He's always annoying though, but I feel
Seriously.
like especially.
I have that, like, love-hate thing with Snape where you know what's going on, so you kind of... I feel like it's mostly because I love Alan Rickman, and it's like, you know, I don't want to hate Snape because I love him, but I still hate Snape, especially when I read the books, because it's just like, oh,
Yeah. Well, that's
you're
the
not
thing.
a very good teacher. You shouldn't be a teacher. You're putting down your students all the time.
Yeah.
And you're mean and you're bullying bigger than bigger bullies because you have more power.
Yeah. I think what people forget is that there are two very different Snapes. There's movie Snape and then there's book Snape. And they are very different characters. And I think the difference is Alan Rickman, like you said, because he was awesome.
Well, it's like he's mean, but not as mean as the book because there's not enough time to show all of his jerk spots.
Well, that, and also, like, even just like in this book or this movie, we have him in the movie when he comes to and he's like yelling at the kids for attacking him, and then he sees that Lupin has turned into a werewolf, and he instantly goes and he protects the kids, and so you instantly like, okay, he's a jerk, but he will always protect his students if they're in danger. And so I think that adds another element of, okay, he's just misunderstood and makes you love him a little bit.
Yeah, but
then in the book he's just like, he doesn't know exactly what happened.
Yeah.
But he's totally okay with accepting the Order of the Merlin first class, and he's like, oh, well, something strange is afoot. And then as soon as he hears that he got away, he blames Harry, and he's like, I know it was him. It had to be him. Even though you literally just saw him, and he's been locked in a room, but he just knows it's Harry. Like, it's gotta be Harry. There's no explanation.
Well,
he broke out of Azkaban. You think Harry helped him break out of Azkaban? I mean, come on. This guy's known for breaking out of tough places.
Yeah, but I almost wonder, like, reading it this time, I kind of had like this thought pop in my head. What if, because all the teachers knew that Hermione had the time turner, what if he suspected that she might have used it with Harry. And in that way, he could have been like, maybe. But then again, if he really did suspect that, wouldn't he have been like, hey, I suspect she was misusing that?
That's what I was like. He would have said that if he thought that she was using the time turner.
Right.
But he didn't say that.
Which I'm like, I feel like they should have been more like, but, I guess they're weren't thinking like that.
Well, I don't
like
think
he would have figured something out.
I don't
but
think
at the
they
same
wanted to
time,
expose the fact that Hermione did have it.
You would have to question.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, they said that the teachers knew.
But I know, but they didn't want to expose it to anyone besides the teachers.
Yeah.
But then again, the
Minister of Magic would know because they had to file a special request with the Ministry of Magic.
Yeah.
So even Fudge would have known.
That's what I was thinking. But I guess
they
probably
would.
I guess probably in their mind they didn't think a 13-year-old would go back in time to save a convicted murderer.
Yeah. Especially one like Hermione.
Yeah.
Especially one who's responsible for killing his parents.
Yeah. So in their minds, they're probably thinking that, he.
She's waving.
Yeah. So yeah. So I guess like in a way there was a reason to believe that they wouldn't do that.
Malfoy is even more pathetic in the book.
It's killing me. It's killing me.
Because you have more time to see him throughout the entire year.
Yeah.
And you're just like, every single time he falls back to that, and you're like, dude, the thing scratched you. It didn't break your arm.
And I'm pretty
sure you can use it. And the fact that he milks it so long where he can switch the Quidditch matches is totally bogus.
Yeah. Plus, I think we all know that
I think Madame Pomfrey wouldn't have let him get away with that.
Yeah. And I'm like, she could have easily
She would have been like, excuse me.
Yeah. In the movie, they have her do that.
Magic look back, because she knows she can fix it.
Yeah, she can fix it in 5 minutes or less. But yeah.
She made Harry's bones regrow. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
That was like, ugh. That had to have been painful, I would imagine.
I feel like to change a Quidditch match, you're going to need a note from Madame Pomfrey, and she's not giving no note. Like,
No.
come on.
Plus, I feel like
Snape had to be the one pulling the strings for them.
No, they said it was Malfoy and his dad.
Oh, that's right. His dad has way too much power. Hence the reason why he's always like, my father would hear about this.
Yep. It's like, dude, you're at school, at a boarding school, away from your family. Stop pretending that, like, you live in the same house as them. You don't need to tell them everything.
He must have a really fast eye.
Must. Well, that, and like, you would think that he would kind of grow out of that and eventually be like, hey, you know what? This is kind of stupid, me always running to my daddy. So maybe I should stop, but he doesn't.
A weasel will always be a weasel.
Yep. Or one might say a ferret will always be a ferret.
Or a jerk will always be a jerk.
Spoilers.
A spoiled brat will always be a spoiled brat.
He is an only child. And his parents are, you know,
Yeah.
what they are.
Wealthy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he had little chance to be anything but what he is, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in the same light, Harry had little chance to be good, and yet here he is. Granted, he is definitely not the picture perfect good boy. He definitely breaks a lot of rules, but he's not a jerk.
In fact, I would say his time at the Dursleys made him even more kind and compassionate because he knows what it feels like to be bullied and stepped on. And so he doesn't want to make other people feel the way he felt. And so I think that is a big reason why, as bad as Living of the Dursleys was,
But in the
I
same
think.
light,
Sorry, what?
when you're being bullied all the time, in the same light, when you're being bullied all the time, a lot of times bullies are being bullied. So it's like he had the right mix to become a bully, but he didn't.
That is true.
I think because he was like, so he met Ron and Hermione on the train, and they kind of developed a somewhat of a friendship. And then he met Malfoy kind of right away, and he was like, I don't like him. And so he automatically was like, no, I already got, like, we got a bully.
Disassociating from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely think. Well, even the Sorting Hat was like, you would do well in Slytherin, and so it was literally him being like, no, I don't want to be in Slytherin. So it was him choosing to not go down that path. He chose Gryffindor.
Because he heard,
Yeah.
there's not a wizard who went bad who was not in Slytherin.
Which
That's not true, but
well, at that time it wasn't known.
Right, but that's just what he heard, and he was like, no.
Yeah.
Even if I think that's mostly what it was, because he didn't hear anything about any other house, and so he didn't have an opinion about any of them, but he was just for sure not that.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, all he heard was from the Sword song.
Yeah.
Which I hate that it's not in the book, because I like that song. I mean, it's not in the movies.
Yeah. I kind of would have liked to hear it too. I think that was a really cool part that should have been in there. But that's just me. But then again, I'm always
Well,
gonna be
every
like,
year the song's slightly different.
yeah.
And so the Sorting Hat gives stuff away. It's like telling the future, kind of. So it's important, I think, because it's got those little seeds of information that foretell what's going to happen in that year.
Yeah. Especially in the later books when the Sorting Hat is pushing House Unity. Because I feel like the Triwizard Tournament could have been a really good stepping stone towards House Unity if they could have all, if Harry hadn't been forced to be a champion, they could have all gotten behind one person, and yeah, and then it could have united the the school, and I think it would have been
Well, and
better.
even after that, when people start to realize Harry didn't put his name in, then they're like, oh, okay. So then at least the Hufflepuffs start to like him again.
Yeah.
Because they were really pissed at him. Like, really upset.
And that's the thing that gets me about that book. Like, seriously, at that time he's 14 years old. How can a 14, well, wait, 15-year-old? Because he's 13, no, 14, excuse me, math. So he's like 14 in that book. How can a 14-year-old wizard accomplish something like that?
Especially when Harry and George, who are brilliant, try and fail over and over again.
Like, literally.
If anyone's gonna figure it out, it's gonna be Harry or George or Hermione or somebody.
You mean Fred?
Not that they. Not that she would want to.
No. But
I
yeah,
mean, Fred or George.
Fred or George.
Harry or
I'm like,
George. I'm
Harry.
not.
Yeah.
After you just
Thank
said,
you.
Harry can't do it.
Fred and George are two favorite mischief makers, aside from the Marauders, of course.
You know what? Of course, because they weren't the original, but they still, are mischievous. I think it's so funny how Percy, he's head boy now, and like he's got his badge and all that bit, and it goes missing. And the first place he should look is Fred and George, and yet he totally
But he yelled at Ron.
he yells at Ron and he tears apart their room. It's like, dude, you have two twin brothers
And
who
Fred
are
and
known
George
for
are
this.
over there laughing their heads off. And
Yeah.
pinning stuff on Ron.
Yeah.
They're just like, this is too rich.
So mean to both of them.
It's like literally, if I was in this, I would be like, okay, something mischievous just happened. Fred, George, what did you do? That would be literally my first place.
Where are the twins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like literally. How can you
Yeah.
not? It's just
Yeah.
it's funny.
It's like, come on, Percy. You're smarter than that. At least I think you are.
No.
Not really. He's not really.
You can be
He
book
fancies
smart.
himself smart. I mean,
Yeah.
he's book smart.
But that doesn't make him street smart.
It's his own brothers. Like, he's had to deal with them his entire life.
Well,
And they're his little brothers, so
yeah.
that's a whole new
They've
thing.
been bugging him his whole life.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta love Fred and George. I think it's so sweet how they give him the.
You really do.
Yeah. I think it's so sweet how they give him Harry the Marauders map, even though they're like it's a pinch, or it's we don't want to give this to you, or like they say that it's hard for them to give it. How do they put it? You know what I mean? Where they're like, here's
But
the
they
map.
know he needs it more than they do, and they already have it memorized.
Yeah. But could you imagine how useful that would be to be able to see where everybody is in the castle? So you could be like, okay, so my target is here. I can set up the frame here, so they could definitely use the map. So it just shows how very kind they are. And I think part of the reason why they like Harry so much is because Harry sees them as individuals, where everyone's just like Fred and George, and he's just like Fred, George. You know what I mean? Where it's, I don't know. That's just my impression.
You think that Harry can tell the difference?
I think so, but then I also think he sees them as individuals. He doesn't just see them as one grouped unit. And I think for the twins, that's probably kind of rare because even their mom does that. So I think that's part of it.
You know, which I think is kind of weird. Because, like, every twin that I know, their mom knows. Like, the difference and such.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Well,
I get Mrs. Weasley has a lot of kids, but
I think she can tell the difference. It's just them being like, I'm not Fred, he is. Just kidding, I am Fred.
Or they're always
So.
pranking her, so it's like, wait, what? Make you second guess yourself over and over again to the point of you have no idea anymore.
Yeah. I think
And they're
kind of
gone half the time because they don't even live at home when they're in school, so she only sees them over the summer.
Mm-hmm.
So that, makes it so that they can grow and change a little bit without her seeing them.
Yeah, especially at that age, they grow pretty fast and change very fast.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I guess it kind of makes sense. A tradition I've always wanted to start is making like Weasley sweaters for everybody. But if I hand knit all those sweaters for our
Good
whole
luck.
family,
Let
I
me
would.
know when you can enchant some sticks to do some knitting for you.
Yeah, I wish I could do that because it would take me 5
I'd like
years.
to learn how to do that.
Yeah, that would be useful, especially right now since I have so many projects going.
I only have one, and I've just been playing with a new Stitch.
Oh, what Stitch?
I'm trying not to do anything too big after that blanket. I'm a little crocheted out.
I bet. I just got some wool yarn because I've never worked with wool yarn before, so I'm excited to try it.
Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah. I'm a little bit nervous because, it has
Inspired by Mr. Galen a little bit.
Sorry, what was that?
Galen.
Oh, maybe. That, and I also want a sweater that's actually warm.
It is dark, too.
Well, this one is.
So.
The wool yarn that I got is red. It's in that vibe right there.
Oh. Never mind.
No, I wouldn't have been able to get this far. We only just got it last night.
I wasn't thinking about that. You said you needed to get some yarn to attach onto the yarn, so I thought that was for that.
No, it's a different project. So, yeah.
We didn't get it last night.
Didn't we go to...
No, that wasn't last night.
That wasn't last night?
No, it was Thursday.
Am I losing my mind that much? Time is a construct.
Wibbly wobbly, tiny wimey stuff.
Especially with this book.
Right.
I think...
Story.
Yeah. I think it worked really good for the story, but I think introducing time turners also kind of introduced a bit of a problem story-wise for JK, because, like, going forward, everyone's like, well, why didn't they use a time turner for this? And why didn't they use a time turner for that? It's a very easy, like, plot convenience that can get out of hand. So you have to be very careful when you write about time travel or devices like the time turner.
Well, and that's why she made it very clear that they had to specifically ask for permission from the ministry, and only certain people can use a time turner. They're very regimented and restricted, and yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
They have complete control over who gets one and how long and all that. So
yeah, and didn't they say also that there was
to try to make it at least fun.
Didn't they also say that there was consequences to going too far back in time? You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking of Hogwarts: A History and Unreliable Guide that I read recently, and they actually got into time turners, and they talked about how wizards had a tendency to die if they went further back than a couple hours, and so...
Well, that's what Hermione was saying. She's like, bad things happen to people who are not careful with time.
Yeah.
Who mess with time too much.
Yeah, or see themselves.
You can kill yourself or kill your future self.
Mm-hmm. Hi. We're live.
With Sarah?
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Sarah.
Mom says hi.
Hi, Mom.
I gotta quick get dressed because I'm heading out to the funeral.
Okay.
Is anybody going with me? I mean, Dad's coming, but Uncle Dean's funeral?
I don't think we can. So, yeah.
Well, I was wondering, because Hermione gave it up. Would they have allowed her to continue on it for, however long, do you think? Like the next year? Or what? Because she gave it up.
I feel like they wouldn't have, because if you think about it, now I haven't done the math or anything, but just looking at it objectively, she pretty much lived the same year, like several times over. So, do you think she also aged
Well, it was
faster?
not more than twice, though. because she only was doing 2 classes 2 times a day. So she really only lived an extra 2 or 3 hours every single day. So it wasn't that much if you think about it.
Okay. But would you
now,
agree that
that's what it made it sound anyway, because it was just the 2 classes, or the 2 times.
She had transfiguration.
But I do think it would affect her aging.
Potions.
Because it's going to affect her lack of sleep, and it's going to be an hour longer until she's eating, and it's going to be, like, her breaks are no more. So it's like, it's affecting her one way or another.
Yeah. Either way, she's crazy. I mean, I love reading and I love learning.
I just need to go back in time and eat.
I would totally. That's something that I was thinking. I'm like, if I was her, I would at the end of the day go back a couple hours again and just be up in my room sleeping, and then do some homework maybe.
Exactly.
I mean, like, you might as well. I mean, and it helps you do what you need to do. So
Nap
it's not
time
like
is the essential part of daily activities.
Oh yeah. Wouldn't you agree?
I'm telling you.
Since you're always napping. That's why I always laugh at kids who are like, no, I don't want to nap. And I'm just like, you do realize how lucky you are that you can nap. Because you can't do that at work.
I'm so glad
school.
Melanie's not like that. Because she loves napping. And I'm just like, for now anyway. We'll see how long that lasts. But she is like the easiest kid to put down for a nap. Like, seriously. I just say the word nap. She grabs her bunny and she goes to her room. And I put her in her crib and I walk away and she's quiet until she falls asleep. And then when she wakes up, I can hear her clapping or whatever. Because it's just like, she's okay with being in her crib. And she likes sleeping. I'm so lucky.
Yeah, she is such an easy, happy-go-lucky kid that I'm not too surprised. I think
for the most part, she's been really bratty lately.
Oh really? Did we spoil her too much?
Like, oh my goodness. If she doesn't get her way, she throws a fit. If she's hungry and she doesn't get food, she throws a fit. She puts her face down on the ground, on a chair, on a bench, on whatever's nearby, and cries into it until she has had enough, and then she'll go off and do something else. She may be upset and start over it.
She may or may not have been influenced by Disney princesses on that whole crying into something.
True, I mean Cinderella, but then again,
so far she's only seen Snow White, Beauty and the Beast, and Mulan.
Okay, they all do it though.
They all do that, don't
they? They all do that. They do.
I mean, they usually have a pretty good reason, but like kids don't really connect that right away.
He's just like, like, what is wrong with you, child? Seriously.
Yeah, and it probably doesn't help that she was recently spoiled by us when she was here for Christmas because we gave her a ton of presents and we loved on her and we just like spoiled her rotten. Mm-hmm. And of course we like wanted to hold her all the time and play with her. So that probably didn't help either.
It took forever for us to reestablish her routine. Like, seriously. Just like, I know it'll be over eventually, but man, that really screwed us up. Like, she was waking up at the crack of dawn every day after we got home, and I'm just like, why? I didn't want to nap because it was just like, her whole brain was all messed up, and then she was like falling asleep in random places because she was so tired.
Aww.
But we're back to normal-ish, so.
That's good.
I say ish because as she grows, the schedule automatically changes anyway, so.
All right, should we?
Anyway, should we move on to our nomination?
Yeah, I was just gonna suggest that. Do you want to go first, Sarah?
Sure. I have The Ranger's Apprentice, The Tournament at Gorlin by John Flanagan. This is the one that I said was a prequel, which I didn't want to start with the prequel, but now I have it and I'm halfway through it. So, well, I'm not halfway. I'm like 3 chapters in. So, because I got a couple books and I decided to try to read a couple of them to see which one I liked best before I nominated it. Because I got this one too, The Merciful Crow, but it's really dark and a little creepy. So I did not want to nominate this one. I'm still gonna read it, but it's really dark. So there you go.
Okay. I.
Do you want me to read the back?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Okay. When Halt and Crawley discover the ambitious Morgrath has been infiltrating the Rangers in order to corrupt the corps, the young Rangers search for Prince Duncan so they can stop Morgrath before it's too late. By weakening the Rangers, the most powerful force in the support of the king, Morgrath plans to steal the throne. Yet when Halt and Crawley arrive in Gorlin, they discover just how close Morgrath's scheme is to its success. If the young Rangers are to prevent him from succeeding, they will have to tread a dangerous path, which leads them to the annual tournament at Gorlin, where a series of bitter duels must be fought and won. There you go.
That sounds interesting. I was thinking about nominating a Star Wars one, but I think Maria said she has a hard time reading those. So I went with I Capture the Castle by Dodie Smith, and it even has a reading group discussion guide if we want to try that. I don't know. I'll read the back.
Right.
I Capture the Castle. I can't talk. I Capture the Castle tells the story of 17-year-old Cassandra and her family who live in a not so genteel poverty in a ramshackle old English castle. Here she strives over 6 turbulent months to hone her writing skills. She fills 3 notebooks with sharply funny yet poignant entries. Her journals candidly chronicle the great changes that take place within the castle's walls and her own first descent into love. By the time she pens her final entry, she has captured the castle. Which is a weird way to put it, but okay. And the heart of the reader in one of literary's most enchanting entertainments. That's the back. This is the front. I don't know if you can see that. Did you forget yours?
I'm going to get one.
Okay. She forgot to bring hers. She's going to get it.
Okay.
Apparently, this book has one of the most charismatic narrators I've ever met, says J.K. Rowling, author of the Harry Potter books. So apparently she really liked this book. Which I didn't know until I got it. And yeah.
Or they just paid her to say that.
Maybe. That's why I never pay attention to those things, because you're like, I don't know. I just don't know.
I don't even read them, honestly.
Okay. My book that I'm nominating is Dragon Slippers by Jessica D. George.
I wonder who gave that to her for Christmas.
It was not her.
It wasn't her?
Ugh,
why
No.
does it always do that? There. Okay.
That's funny that you say that. It was not Sarah.
I thought it was Sarah.
No, she gave
Wasn't
me
that Jonathan and Joshua?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, right, for her birthday. Right, I forgot.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you want me to read the back?
Go for it.
Okay.
Sure.
After Creel's aunt, yeah, I think it's Creel, sacrifices her to a dragon, Creel refuses to wait for a knight to rescue her. Instead, she bargains for her escape and wins her freedom, along with a pair of blue slippers. As she sets out to find her fortune in the king's city, she meets and befriends another dragon. But when she arrives in the city, strange things start to happen. Creel realizes that her mysterious slippers are more than just a pair of shoes. They possess magic that could save the kingdom or destroy it. I think it's Creel, right?
Creel, I think so. It's hard because she always goes with the funniest names that you're like, how do I pronounce this?
Yeah.
Because she's making them up, literally making them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. All right, Sarah, one do you vote for?
You're making me go first.
I'll go first.
Dragon first.
I vote for Dragon Slippers.
It's not that I hate the book, it's not my favorite, but okay. Dragon Slippers it is.
I've already read it, but okay.
I have too. I feel like
I have not.
You haven't?
If we've all already read it, then maybe we could. Oh.
She hasn't, but I feel like because we've done, I think, what is it, the last 3 books that we've done has been books that we've read before?
Yeah, but no offense, I'm not really interested in either of yours. I said no offense. I know, which doesn't change if you're offended or not.
No, it does not. And in fact, it makes it worse.
Hey, we voted.
I was gonna vote for Sarah's, but
I feel like this is the most disputed vote ever.
Yeah. I don't know.
I changed my vote then, if you're gonna be like that, Maria.
She's the one who voted yes, and then now
I did not vote.
No.
I did not vote because you guys had already voted, so it doesn't matter what I vote. My vote would have been for Sarah's book. So I feel like because we've done the last 3 books that some of us, most of us, have read before, we should try one that we've all not read before. But
I don't know.
If Sarah doesn't
change... It's your book club, Brittany. You can,
Sorry, what was that?
You make the rules. I said it's your book club, you make the rules.
If you guys vote for Dragon Slippers it is. So, it's Dragon Slippers by
Jessica. Guess I have to go back to the library.
I think I have this book. I can't remember.
And the one I know for sure they have at our library. Or at least they've had it at our library. I don't see.
I don't know if the audience can tell, but we very much like Jessica Day George as an author. She's one of our favorites. I don't know if you can tell, considering the last 2 books, or well, you know what I mean. This is the 3rd book of hers that we've done. So, we kind of like it. A little bit. But yeah, okay. I guess that's it for today. We'll do Dragon Slippers. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed us arguing over what book to pick. Because we were stubborn. Bye!
Bye!
It's like you looked right at me when you said